Valentine's Day is right around the corner. You know what that means. It's time for your perpetually single bookish friend to give you some romance recommendations. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah and this is Ancient Bookish Reads. And today I'm talking about 14 romance books to read in February. And obviously I know we're already halfway through February and that's okay. These romances are good all year round. As I am filming this, my dogs are actively going quite insane. So if you hear them in the background, sorry, not sorry, this is my life. I'm going to start out with my fantasy recommendations. All right, first up, I'm going to count these as one book, but it's actually a duology. I think it's Letters of Enchantment duology. It's Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, written by Rebecca Ross. I love these books. They're YA, so there's like no spice, but they're so freaking cute. They have like magic typewriters that are linked, and so they're able to send letters to one another. And when I read it, and that could just be me being a dummy reader, when I read it, it was giving like the 40s, but magic, and also not the 40s. And they work for a newspaper, and it's just very like, I just love it so much. And it's really cute fantasy, but not like so much so that it's confusing to me, at least. All right, next up, and if you don't agree with me, you can argue with Wall. That's okay. This is my opinion. ACOMAF. Okay. ACOMAF, specifically right after you read ACOTAR, is like kicking my feet, screaming, giggling. Okay. Reese really sold himself for me in this book. However, I did not put Silver Flames, but I prefer Nesta and Cassian. Words are hard. However, I think the romance in ACOMAF kind of supersedes what's going on in Silver Flame. Silver Flame is more spice, and ACOMAF just feels very like falling in love to me. All right, the last of my fantasy romance books, and this is not a spoiler per se, so don't come for me. Onyx Storm. Onyx Storm, I felt like, and a lot of the internet I have perceived has felt like this was a gigantic love letter to Violet from Xaden. And I agree wholeheartedly. This whole book was him doing everything he could to take care of her. I feel like that. And again, argue with the wall. That's okay. This is my opinion. That's my opinion. I loved this book, and the haters are going to hate, but I thought this was a perfect mid-series book. I honestly liked this book probably better than Iron Flame, but that might be because I feel like Iron Flame was more fantasy, and I'm a romantasy girly. I have made that evident. Okay, now into my fluffy, fun romance books. The Long Game by Elena Armas and The Fiancé Dilemma. I loved both of these books. I'm also a big sports book girly, which I find funny because I'm not a big sports girly. I think something that makes this book appealing to me probably, and I think I read this one first actually, it reminds me of Flawless by Elsie Silver. Like it has the same kind of, although there's like a PR problem and the girl has to go in and fix it and she's really good at her job and then she falls in love. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And I like them in the second book as well. It's about, what, I don't want to spoil that. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. Next up, we have someone who is becoming quickly one of my favorite romance authors, and it's Lana Ferguson. This is Under Lock and Key. I have read all 4 of the Lana Ferguson books that are available, and they're all a good time. But this book specifically, this audiobook, had me blushing because one, the audiobook is narrated by a Scottish man and a lady. It was amazing. It was amazing. But this book, I get it. It's a weird premise. Okay. It's definitely paranormal, kind of out there. I love it. I ate this up. I ate it up. All right. I don't know what number we're on, but Done and Dusted's next. Okay. This book, I first heard Done and Dusted on Spotify because I had a free like book 15 hours or whatever it is, and I just finished the Chestnut Spring series and I was like itching, desperate for more cowboy romance, which is unheard of for me. This was such a quick read and I became so obsessed, and Lyla Sage does like an immaculate job. Okay, all 3 of the books in the series so far and the 4th one that's coming out in a couple months, I can guarantee you the fourth one's going to be amazing. And that one's the one I've been waiting for. Okay. But this book, this series is adorable. Brother's best friend. She comes home. Listen, okay. I got a sidebar. Okay, like I said, sidebar. I realize a lot of these books are like the girl comes back to her small town and she falls in love. Um, and trust me when I say it to you, that is not realistic, and I know that, but I don't care because here's the thing: I live in my home county that I've lived in forever. That doesn't happen, and that's fine because in the fiction world it does, and it does it well. Here, in the real place, no, absolutely not. As I said, all of that. The next book is Wild Love by Elsie Silver, where the main woman comes back to her hometown. Um, I loved this book. Is it her hometown? I think so. But I loved this book because the main male character is related to Willa from Heartless by Elsie Silver, and he is like having to take care of his 12-year-old like donor child. Like he donated his DNA to have her created by for her parents, and her mom is sick and things are happening. So, anyways, don't we just love how I can explain things so well? Anyways, he has to take care of his daughter while her mom is sick, and they end up like reconnecting the main male character and Rosie, who has nothing to do with his daughter, but they're just cool like that. And Ford has always been pretty much smitten, obsessed with Rosie, and he would do anything for her when they were younger, and she didn't know it because, older brother's best friend type thing. You don't know. This next one's a sad one. Okay, I had to include it because I literally was obsessed with this book the moment I read it. How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kuang, I believe. There was a big tragedy that involved these two main characters when they were younger, and later on in life they kind of reconnect through a TV show that they are creating, that author and screenwriter situation. And I can't even express to you how much I loved this book. It was a really quick read, but it literally broke me in two and then sewed me back together. Like it was one of those, and I just, it was just so cathartic. And actually, I found out that the author of this book is doing the screenplays for, I want to say People We Meet on Vacation, one of the Emily Henry movie adaptations that they're working on. She's writing the screenplay, and I said, I will be sat. Not only will I be sad because it's an Emily Henry movie, but I will be sad because she writes masterpieces. I say masterpieces. I think this is her only book currently, but I foresee her continuing to write masterpieces. Along the lines of masterpieces, Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. Pretty much anything by Lynn Painter I've enjoyed. I haven't read all of her books, but I've read Better Than the Movies and Nothing Like the Movies, obviously. I love how she incorporates all of the rom-com things because obviously I'm a romance girly. Like I love a rom-com movie, I love a rom-com book, and she does a really good job of like melding it into the story to where it fits and it fits them. I love the two main characters in this book. And I liked coming back to this universe a couple years after reading the first one. I didn't reread the first one. I just kind of came back into it and I really, really enjoyed it. All right, we have a few more to go. The next one is by the Queen herself, Tessa Bailey. It happened one summer. I could really pick any of the Tessa Bailey books that I've read, which is a ton of them. Her newest series is really, really good. I believe I first got into Tessa Bailey with this book, and I think that's why I picked it because this story was Piper was like, I loved her. If you saw my February Hopefuls video, you would know that I just got Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I have since finished it. I finished it in like 2.5 days because I was devouring it, consuming it rapidly. But The Love Hypothesis is next on my list. And the reason The Love Hypothesis is next on my list, not only is it the first Ali Hazelwood book that I read, but after reading Deep End and having the little cameos of Olive and Adam, I was like, I miss them. I love them. I forgot how cute and freaking adorable they were. This book, the whole STEMinist book series, and like all of her different ways that she incorporates these characters that are so smart and also like just I just love them. I just love them. They're like precious little beans in my eyes. All right, the next one is also becoming someone who I will auto buy. I will read as soon as her book comes out, and I will be reading as soon as her new book comes out, Abby Jimenez. This is Part of Your World. I want to say that this was also the first book I read of hers. My stepmom actually lent it to me, and she was like, I think you'd like this. And it took me forever to read it. And once I read it, when I tell you, and then I immediately read Just for the Summer and everything else that she's written. And she has her new book coming out. And I just found out that Matt Lanter, if you know, you know, that Matt Lanter is doing the male narration for Say You'll Remember Me. And my sister pre-ordered the book for me for Christmas, but I'm going to have to get the audiobook too because I can't not listen to that. All right, we are down to the final 2 romance books that I think that you should read. And this next one, I'm not a big dark romance girl. Like, I enjoy some of it, you know, but some of it's a little too out there for me. And that's okay because, you know, I'm not here to yuck somebody's yum. Go off, sister. However, the Ruinous Love series by Brynne Weaver, I don't consider it dark romance. I consider it dark rom-com because none of the things in this book like disgust me. However, she puts about 8 million trigger warnings on her book, and they're hilarious. I talked about that, I think, in my February hopefuls as well, because Scythe and Sparrow is literally on its way to my home as we speak. Sloane and Rowan are both serial unalivers who spark up a competition. And granted, the unalived are usually people who are deserving of it in their opinions because of wrongdoings and such. But there's a lot that goes down in these books that I think are really funny. I also loved Leather and Lark. Scythe and Sparrow, I guarantee you I'm going to like because it's giving like crazy circus. But I love this book if you're into like a darker romance, but you don't want it to be too dark. Butcher and Blackbird. I think I recommended this like 3 times today at work. If you've made it this far, you've made it to the last book of the video. And I think that this book is immaculate, amazing, no notes, perfection. There is a hint around me. Can you figure out what it is? It's Beach Read by Emily Henry. These 2 are both authors, but they are polar opposites in terms of what they are writing. January typically pens romance while Gus does not. And so one night they kind of make a competition out of it where they swap genres, and they're going to spend the summer writing the swapped genre. And there's a prize involved and all that kind of stuff. But of course, I would fall in love because that's how these books work, and I love them for that. So those are my 14 romance recommendations for the month of February. Let me know in the comments down below which one was your favorite if you've read them. If you haven't read them, which one are you adding to your TBR? As always, thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, give it a like and subscribe below. And if you're single, you can always find love in a book.